Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour. A powerful 7.1 earthquake leaves a trail of destruction in Nepal and Tibet, with tremors also felt in India and Bangladesh. At least 95 deaths reported. Slumping opinion polls and waning support in party make Canada Prime Minister announce resignation after more than 9 years in power. Justin Trudeau to remain caretaker Prime Minister.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken praises stronger than ever U.S. Japan ties in his meeting with Prime Minister Ishiba as Nippon Steel decision weighs on relations. And huge winter storm in the east coast of the U.S. cripples normal life. Britain braces for more snow, rain and flooding. North India too reels under cold wave. A massive 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck Nepal-Tibet border early on Tuesday, killing at least 95 people and injuring 130 others, with tremors felt in some parts of India and Bangladesh. The quake's epicenter was located approximately 91 kilometers from Labuch in Nepal, and it was followed by numerous aftershocks with magnitudes of up to 4.4. An earthquake of this magnitude is considered strong and is capable of causing severe damage. Emergency response teams in Nepal and India are on high alert to assess the impact of the earthquake. Officials are closely monitoring the situation and have urged citizens to remain calm and be prepared for possible aftershocks. DD India's Shweta Singh joins us from Kathmandu now. Shweta, what do we know about the damage and casualties caused by the earthquake?
Can we see, actually the earthquake was in the morning, and here in Nepal people wake up early in the morning, so actually people were alert, and as earthquake hit here at 6:50 a.m. in the morning, people ran out of the house, and a few people who couldn't feel it is earthquake, they were inside the house, but the tremor was felt across Bagmati province and even to Tarai, Bhojpur. And the most strong tremor was in Solokhumbu, that is bordering to Tibet. So there you see though no damages, no casualties reported in Nepal here. It's like social media reports and other media reports, you see 95 people are dead, that's coming from Tibet. But here in Nepal, there is no casualty as such.
Okay. We leave it here. Thank you very much, Shweta Singh, joining us from Kathmandu. After 9 years in power, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced his resignation on Monday. However, he will remain in position as Prime Minister and Liberal Party head until the party chooses a new leader to take it into the next election. Trudeau said party infighting means he's not the right leader.
Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced his resignation on Monday, saying he would leave office as soon as his party chooses a new leader, with slumping polls and internal division taking their toll. After more than 9 years in power, Trudeau's support within the ruling Liberal Party began crumbling in 2024 due to intensifying public criticism focused on the rising cost of living. A subdued Trudeau told a press conference that he would stay as the Prime Minister until the party chooses a new chief.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process.
His authority was then shaken by the surprise departure last month of his Finance Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland. Across the country, Trudeau's resignation did not surprise. Trudeau's Liberals are trailing badly in the polls to the opposition Conservatives.
This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
Trudeau took office in November 2015 with a message of hope and sunny ways and won re-election twice. But his popularity started dipping 2 years ago as prices of groceries and housing rose in the post-COVID period and his fortunes never recovered. Canadian media have tipped Freeland as a possible Liberal leader. Trudeau has received permission from Canada's Governor-General to suspend all parliamentary business until March 24. That could give the Liberals time to choose a new leader while restricting the opposition's chances to bring a vote of no confidence. Bureau Report, TD India.
Let's now take a look at a timeline of key events tracking Justin Trudeau's tenure over nearly a decade in Canadian politics.
Here is a timeline of key events charting Trudeau's fortunes over nearly a decade in Canadian politics. Justin Trudeau won the leadership of the party in 2013. Trudeau's Liberals won a majority of seats in the federal election in 2015. In December 2017, Canada's Ethics Commissioner ruled Trudeau had broken conflict of interest rules by accepting a vacation, gifts and flights from the Aga Khan in 2016. In February 2019, former Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould alleged that government officials improperly pressured her to assist SNC-Lavalin in evading a corruption trial. In August 2019, the Ethics Commissioner ruled Trudeau and his officials had breached some ethical rules. Trudeau took responsibility but refused to apologize. In 2019, shortly after election campaign began, photos emerged of Trudeau wearing blackface when he was younger. Trudeau apologized, saying his life of privilege had come with a blind spot. In August 2020, Finance Minister Bill Morneau resigned amid friction with Trudeau over how much funding was needed to help Canada recover from the pandemic. In September 2021, Trudeau triggered a national vote for September 20th, 2021, but was returned with a second successive minority. In June 2024, in a clear sign of the Liberals' growing unpopularity, the party lost one of its safest seats in a special election in Toronto. In September 2024, the New Democrats announced they would withdraw their automatic support. On December 16, 2024, Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland resigned after Trudeau asked her to take a lesser position, taking away one of his most loyal allies. On December 20th, 2024, a formal motion of no confidence was presented. And finally, on January 5, 2025, Trudeau announced to step down once the Liberal Party chooses a replacement. Bureau Report, TD India.
And Vikas Swaroop, former High Commissioner of India to Canada, joins us now on the story. Welcome, Mr. Swaroop, to the program. What would you say were the key factors that led to Trudeau's downfall? Also, would you say that Trudeau's baseless allegations against India might have added to his political misfortunes?
Well, I think your report has very succinctly captured all the major factors responsible for his downfall. As it was pointed out 2 years ago, beginning 2 years ago, the cost of living in Canada rose dramatically. Grocery prices went up by 30 to 40%. Allied to that was a housing crisis, because Trudeau took in so many immigrants and so many international students. The cost of housing just quadrupled and made it very, very difficult for ordinary Canadians to even think of owning a house, because mortgage prices also went through the roof. So because of, I think, the inflation, because of the housing crisis, because of the immigration crisis, and I think also because of his inept handling of foreign affairs. As you rightly pointed out, his handling of the India portfolio was particularly egregious. The way he lambasted India, went public with certain allegations without any proof, I think that added to the image of Trudeau as someone who does not take foreign relations very seriously.
Okay. And not taking foreign relations seriously is one thing, and also probably to use them as political gimmicks. Was that, was that also exposed not only in public but also within his own party? Absolutely.
I think he used the India file, so to speak, very cynically to bolster a particular vote bank. And eventually that got exposed, because, you can only fool some of the people some of the time. You cannot fool all the people all the time.
And who is most likely to succeed Trudeau, in your opinion, and why?
You see, the problem is Trudeau has already cleared the pitch for whoever his successor is going to be, because he will remain Prime Minister till the 24th of March, assuming a new leader is elected by then. That leader will face a no confidence motion, which will most likely pass unless Jagmeet Singh and the New Democratic Party change their stance, which so far they are sticking to, that they want to bring down this government, which means that the new leader of the Liberal Party will have to go when confidence motion comes in, let's say, in April. Elections will be announced in May, which means he or she will have no time to prove himself or herself. Right now, I think the names that are most being bandied about are Chrystia Freeland, François-Philippe Champagne, Dominic LeBlanc, etc. But my sense is that, look, anybody who's associated with the Liberal Party will have very little chance of succeeding where Trudeau could not, because they will all be tainted by the same thing, that, what were you doing when you were in the government to allay Canadian concerns about the cost of living, etc. The only possible chance they may have is if they bring in an outsider, like Mark Carney, who's a noted economist. He used to be the governor of the Bank of Canada and also of the Bank of England, and he might be interested. But honestly, this is a poison chalice at the moment, because whoever accepts becoming the next Liberal leader is likely to face a very massive defeat in the upcoming elections, because if the opinion polls are to be believed, the Conservatives are leading by a margin of 20 to 25 percentage points, which is almost impossible to overcome.
Okay, at another level, what do you think made Trudeau finally realize that his continuance as Prime Minister was untenable?
I think what made him realize was the fact that there was a complete revolt in his caucus, whether it was the Quebec caucus, whether it was the Ontario caucus, or whether it was the Atlantic caucus. And together they account for 131 members out of the 153 members of Parliament that the Liberal Party has. So once you lose support of that members, there is no way that you can continue as Parliament. So what began as a very small-time revolt with 20 members of Parliament submitting, letters that Trudeau should resign, eventually became this full-blown revolt against Trudeau, because I think most members of the Liberal Party recognize that with Trudeau at the helm, they had very little chance of retaining their seats.
And would you say that Liberal Party's defeat in the coming elections is a foregone conclusion?
Look, in politics, nothing is a foregone conclusion. As they say, 1 week is a long time in politics, many a slip between cup and lip. But if the opinion polls continue to hold, then the Conservatives are at 45%, the Liberals are at 16%. So the gap is just too wide. In fact, if the polls are held, let's say, immediately, the Liberals will probably come down to less than 10 seats, which is unprecedented. So my sense is that the Conservatives are very well organized at this point in time. In Pierre Poilievre, they have a leader who has rallied a majority of Canadians to his cause. And I think, by and large, Canadians are tired of Trudeau and they are tired of the Liberal Party, and there is a hunger for change.
And finally, sir, despite Trudeau's imminent exit, does anything change as regards Canada's now somewhat soured relations with the U.S. as Donald Trump prepares to assume office there?
Well, I think Canada has a real task on its hand, because Trudeau has never gotten along with Trump. Trump, as you know, has disparaged Trudeau. He has called him Governor Trudeau. He has referred to Canada as the 51st state of America. And the fact that Trudeau will be Prime Minister when Trump takes over, I think creates a huge problem. So whoever is the next Liberal leader has a task on his or her hands in dealing with Trump.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for sparing your time on DD India News. Vikas Swarup, former Indian High Commissioner to Canada, joining us. Still to come on DD India News. Ukraine's President Zelensky says nearly 15,000 Russians have been killed in Kursk region. Ahead of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's inauguration, opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez meets U.S. leadership in Washington. And South Korea's investigators wait for a new arrest warrant for Yoon Suk-yeol, who has refused questioning 3 times so far.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News. I am Tanvi Taneja. The U.S. Congress on Monday formally certified Republican President-elect Donald Trump's November election victory in a special session. Monday's ceremony in Congress officially validated the 2024 Electoral College results. The certification of the election results was accomplished in a brief, formal ceremony during a joint session of the House of Representatives and the Senate. It was presided over by Kamala Harris, acting in her vice presidential role as President of the Senate. After the number of Electoral College votes were read out from each state, Harris certified that Trump won the U.S. presidency. The certification is normally a symbol of America's commitment to the peaceful transfer of power despite partisan disagreements. This constitutional procedure took place exactly 4 years after a mob of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol in a failed bid to block the certification of then-President Trump's 2020 loss to Democratic President Joe Biden. A New York judge has rejected U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's request to delay sentencing set for later this week in his hush money case. Judge Juan Merchan had ruled last week that Trump's sentencing should go ahead despite his upcoming inauguration.
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump on Monday lost a bid to put off his sentencing on 10th January for his criminal conviction stemming from hush money paid to an adult film star. In their Monday filing, Trump lawyers asked the judge to hold off sentencing while the appeals play out. In a written ruling later on the day, the judge declined to push back Trump's January 10th sentencing. In scheduling Trump's sentencing for Friday, the judge noted last week that he was not inclined to send the U.S. president-elect to jail. He wrote that a sentence of unconditional discharge, effectively putting a judgment of guilt on his record without a fine or a probation, would be the most practical approach given Trump's looming inauguration. The sentence would nevertheless see Trump entering the White House as a convicted felon. The judge said Trump may appear at his sentencing either in person or virtually. The case stemmed from a $130,000 payment Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, made to an adult film actor, Stormy Daniels, to keep her quiet about a sexual encounter she said she had with Trump, who denies it. After a 6-week trial, a jury found Trump guilty on 34 felony counts of falsifying records to mask the payment prior to the 2016 election. The hush money case made Trump the first U.S. president to be charged with and convicted of a crime. Since the verdict, his lawyers have made 2 unsuccessful attempts to have the case tossed. Bureau Report, DD India.
Donald Trump confirmed on Monday that his eldest son, Don Jr., plans to visit Greenland 2 weeks after the U.S. president-elect reiterated his desire to obtain control over the autonomous Danish territory. In a social media post, Trump said that his son and various representatives will be traveling to Greenland. He further said that they will visit some of the most magnificent areas and sites without offering a specific time frame for the trip. Just before Christmas, Trump said that for purposes of national security and freedom throughout the world, the United States of America feels that the ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity. The island's government responded that it was not for sale, echoing its response to similar statements from the then-President Trump in 2019. Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez, who claims that he won last year's presidential election against incumbent President Nicolas Maduro, met with U.S. President Joe Biden on Monday. After the White House meeting, Gonzalez said he had a long, fruitful and cordial conversation with Biden. Gonzalez's visit to Washington comes as part of a regional tour just days before President Nicolas Maduro is set to be inaugurated for his third term. This after being recognized by Venezuela's top court and electoral authority as the winner of the election.
We had a long, fruitful and cordial conversation with President Biden and his team. It was a long conversation in which we addressed various aspects of the bilateral relationship. We were grateful for the support that the government of the United States have given for the democratic recovery of Venezuela. Our team is in contact with President Trump's team for some time now. We will continue on the same path because our relations will also be very close and beneficial for the relationship between Venezuela and the United States.
Que nos llevamos y que vamos a estar siguiendo.
Back to Asia. After visiting South Korea, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken held a meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. During the meeting, Blinken praised the progress in relations between the two countries. The leaders held talks on security, economic and people-to-people ties. North Korea's missile launch was also discussed. The meeting comes at a time when business lobbies in both Japan and the US pushed hard for the merger of Nippon Steel and US Steel, backing their arguments with warnings about the effect on the vital US-Japan relationship. South Korean anti-graft investigators wait for a new court-ordered arrest warrant for impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol, whose failed martial law bid threw the country into turmoil. Yoon has refused questioning 3 times over a bungled martial law decree last month and is holed up in his residence surrounded by hundreds of guards, preventing his arrest. It is likely that a new warrant will be granted by the same court that issued the first order, which expired after 7 days. But investigators refused to disclose the duration of the new warrant they were seeking. Yoon's lawyers repeatedly said that the initial warrant was unlawful and illegal, pledging to take further legal action against it. And next, latest from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky claimed that Russia has suffered significant losses in 5 months of fighting in Kursk region, with nearly 15,000 people killed.
During the Kursk operation, the enemy has already lost 38,000 of their soldiers in this direction alone, with nearly 15,000 of their losses being irreversible. The Russians have deployed their strongest units to the Kursk region, including soldiers from North Korea. It is important that the occupier cannot now direct all these forces to our other areas, in particular to Donetsk region, against Sumy, to Kharkiv or Zaporozhye.
Russia, meanwhile, claimed to have made significant gains in eastern Ukraine, capturing the town of Kurakov on Monday. Moldova is facing an energy crisis, which has left over 51,000 households without gas and 1,500 apartment buildings in the Transnistria region without winter heat. This crisis was triggered when the gas was cut off, along with flows to Central and Eastern Europe that stopped on New Year's Day after Kiev refused to extend a transit deal. Moldovan Prime Minister Dorin Drekan said that disruptions of water supply in Transnistria had begun on Monday amid the energy crisis.
What we see today in Transnistria region is that people don't have electricity for hours, they don't have heating, most of all, they don't have access to gas, and starting today, they have even interruptions of water supply. The meaning of all of this is for Russia to create instability in the region, but also very importantly to influence the results of the parliamentary elections in Moldova due to take place this autumn.
And another country in Europe is facing the same problem. If there's one issue that has caused more troubles for once economically powerful Germany, it is the energy crisis. It started with Russia's conflict in Ukraine and the end of gas deliveries. But Germans are working hard on a way out. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now on the story. Lars, what's the latest in how is Germany thinking to improve the situation?
Thanks for having me. Well, it appears Germany is doing better and better in getting their renewable energy supplies together. Now, we've had renewables for a while and they're already providing much of the country's energy mix. In fact, in 2024, renewables have provided more than half of it for the very first time. That would be 54% to be exact. Now, for the details, 14% is solar, 33% is wind, and the rest, of course, is biomass and hydro energy. Other sources, of course, are still coal and gas. And even though Germany has switched off its nuclear power plants 2 years ago, we still do use nuclear power. It's imported and it's still more than 1 terawatt hour per month. Not ideal if you ask me. After all, it would have been cheaper to keep our own plants running, but that's politics. Anyway, the good news I'm seeing in this very latest report on energy in Germany is that solar especially has been growing faster than expected, and that means by extension that over time we are producing more renewable energy ourselves and we're getting off imports or fossil fuels faster.
So Lars, how come solar energy is so strong in recent months then?
Well, it's mostly due to the relatively easy availability for that source. So almost everyone can install their own panels, and it is because of that solar panels on one-family homes or on apartment buildings are providing the largest share in solar with 38 gigawatt. Almost as much comes from solar panels installed on the roofs of businesses, mostly industrial plants, office buildings, but also public sector infrastructure and roofs of parking decks. So this is all pretty common, but 2 sectors within the solar group are really growing especially fast. There would be ground-installed panels. Many landowners are putting them on land that has not really been used before, including highways. And then there's a relative newcomer, the so-called Balkonkraftwerk, or a power plant on your balcony. They're relatively tiny setups of solar panels that are easy to install at home and plug into a regular outlet. They feed directly into the grid. Now that makes it attractive for average households because they are selling the energy they produce, and more people are getting this thing. The amount of energy harvested this way actually doubled in 2024.
Okay, thank you, Lars. Lars Holter reporting from DW Berlin. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Malaysia and Singapore announced an agreement to establish a special economic zone in the southern Malaysian state of Johor on Tuesday. It aims at boosting investment and facilitating the movement of goods and people between the two countries. The Southeast Asian neighbours first agreed in principle to jointly develop the economic zone a year ago. A Toyota research unit announced on Tuesday that it will invest in the Japanese startup Interstellar Technologies to support the mass production of its rockets, marking an expansion into the space sector for the world's largest carmaker group. IST revealed that Woven by Toyota, a subsidiary focused on developing a city of the future in Japan with autonomous driving technology, that will invest approximately $44.4 million as part of the first close of the Series F funding. China's foreign exchange reserves fell more than expected in December as per official data on Tuesday. The country's foreign exchange reserves slid by $64 billion last month to $3.2 trillion. The yuan softened 0.7% against the dollar in December, while the dollar last month strengthened 2.6% against a basket of other major currencies, that is the US dollar. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Fresh snowfall blankets the Kashmir Valley. Parts of Himachal Pradesh also receive snowfall in Himachal Pradesh. Preparations on in full swing in North India's Prayagraj for the Mahakumbh Mela.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says supply creates its own demand between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. A quick reminder of the headlines we're tracking at this hour. A powerful 7.1 earthquake leaves a trail of destruction in Nepal and Tibet, with tremors also felt in India and Bangladesh. At least 95 deaths reported. Slumping polls and waning support in party make Canada Prime Minister announce resignation after more than 9 years in power. Justin Trudeau to remain caretaker Prime Minister. Secretary of State Antony Blinken praises stronger than ever U.S. Japan ties in his meeting with Prime Minister Ishiba as Nippon's steel decision weighs on relations. And a huge winter storm in the east coast of the United States cripples normal life. Britain braces for more snow, rain and flooding. North India too reels under cold wave. The first major winter storm of the new year swept into the U.S. mid-Atlantic states on Monday morning, closing down federal offices and public schools in Washington, D.C. and claiming at least 5 lives. The airport in the Kansas City recorded 11 inches of snowfall, the highest for any storm in more than 30 years. A report.
A major storm system headed offshore late Monday after blanketing a large swathe of central and eastern United States in snow and ice, disrupting travels for millions and claiming few lives. About 5 inches or 12.7 centimeters snow had fallen in the nation's capital by Monday, with up to 8 inches in some surrounding areas of Maryland and Virginia, while other parts of Kansas experienced bitter cold wind chills with values from minus 15 to 32 degrees Celsius overnight. The airport in Kansas City recorded 11 inches of snowfall, the highest for any storm in more than 30 years. The Missouri State Police said it had responded to more than 1,000 stranded motorists and 356 crashes, including 1 fatality in a day. Meanwhile, over 2,300 U.S. flights were cancelled, with thousands more delayed amidst the winter storm. Nearly 200,000 customers remained without power in the affected areas. The National Weather Service of the U.S. said that it is the country's first major winter storm of the year, which will exit eastward by Tuesday. Forecasters also warned that another weather system is threatening to wreak more havoc later in the week, potentially bringing a rare major snowstorm to Texas as it heads east. Amidst the whiteout, many residents of the U.S. Capitol, where federal offices and schools were closed, spent the day outside enjoying the semi-rare snow day, with hundreds participating in mass snowball fight. Bureau Report, DD India.
Some parts in the UK showed flooded fields, homes and parking lots on Monday when the County Fire and Rescue Service declared a major incident. It further added that it had received 200 calls on Monday from distressed residents caught in the water across Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland, and urged the public to avoid flooded routes and to not enter floodwaters. The Met Office had warnings in place for snow, ice and rain across much of the UK, while the Environment Agency said flooding was expected at over 150 locations due to rain and melting snow. Travellers in northern England were hit by travel disruption as snowfall and flooding caused train delays and cancellations across the UK. Some major roads in northern and central England were also closed due to snow or flooding. Weather updates from India now. The India Meteorological Department has forecast cold day conditions in isolated pockets of North India's Uttar Pradesh and northwest Rajasthan today. According to the weather agency, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and some parts of Uttar Pradesh are expected to witness very dense fog conditions during the night and early morning till Wednesday. The weather department has also predicted thunderstorms with hailstorms and lightning at isolated places over Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam and Meghalaya today. The IMD said that light to moderate rainfall is likely to prevail over northeastern states till Wednesday. The Met Department also predicted that minimum temperatures are expected to fall by 2 to 4 degrees Celsius over the western Himalayan region during the next 2 days. As the weather changed abruptly in Himachal Pradesh on Monday, the higher reaches were blanketed in a fresh coat of snow. The Meteorological Department reported snowfall in various parts of Shimla, including Kullu's Manali, Atal Tunnel and Chamba. However, the Atal Tunnel has been closed for the public. The Weather Department has also issued an alert of adverse weather conditions in the coming days for the 7 districts of the state.
Himachal Pradesh has once again witnessed a fresh spell of snowfall and rainfall on Monday afternoon. The high peaks of the state are still covered in the snow sheet, and IMD has issued an alert of heavy rainfall and snowfall in areas like Kullu Manali, Chamba, Lahaul Spiti and Kinnaur. However, yesterday's snowfall has resulted in a few road blockages, and administration has advised tourists not to venture in those areas which has higher risk of black ice and snowstorm. With camera person Rishipal, Muskan Chaudhary, DD India.
Kashmir Valley has received fresh snowfall, further bringing down the mercury and also leading to the delays in flight operations from Srinagar International Airport. The Meteorological Centre in Srinagar has said that the weather conditions would remain generally dry from Tuesday till Friday, while the next 2 days there's a possibility of light rain in plains of Jammu and snow at isolated to scattered places. DD India's Shabir Dar joins us from Kashmir now. Shabir, Kashmir is currently under the grip of Chilai Kala, the harshest period of winter. How intense is the cold wave in the region?
Yeah, Kashmir is obviously under the intense chill right now, but we have seen from last few days there's a slight rise in night temperature, although that remains to be the sub-zero. But given the fact that Srinagar just recorded minus 0.5 yesterday, which was a slight higher than the previous night of minus 2 degrees. Similarly, from the chilly streets of Srinagar to the snow-clad slopes of Gulmarg and Pahalgam, Kashmir continues to remain under chilly winter with the fresh blanket of snow on Sunday has given Kashmir a captivating look of a wintry wonderland. And the tourists in places like Gulmarg and Sonmarg and Pahalgam are enchanting and very happy with the white carpet laid in these areas. And, the authorities too are ensuring that basic facilities and like water and electricity is supplied to the areas so that both tourists and people do not face any difficulty, given the fact that Kashmir is in intense phase of winter known as the Chilai Kala.
Okay, and have flight operations at Srinagar Airport resumed after they were affected by the fresh spate of snowfall?
Yeah, there is a disruption in air traffic, but from today morning the flight has resumed. The airlines have managed, delayed their operations. It is like not early morning flights now. It is after the 10 a.m. because in the morning there is fog and chill which disrupts the normal air traffic, but as the day proceeds, the traffic is going normally in international airport. Similarly, the national highway, Srinagar Jammu National Highway, which was closed on Sunday after the fresh snowfall, that has been cleared and the traffic is flying on the highway normally as we speak.
Okay, thank you very much for those updates. Shabir Dar joining us from Srinagar. And now let's take a look at other stories making news in India. The Indian Army has reached at Umrangso area of Assam state to rescue the trapped coal miners. Several people are feared trapped inside a coal mine with exact figures still unknown. This comes after State Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma sought the Army's assistance in the ongoing rescue operation. The relief task force comprises specialists like divers, sappers and other relevant personnel with the necessary equipment. The Uttar Pradesh police has heightened security measures for a safe and grand celebration ahead of the Mahakumbh. Thousands of AI-powered CCTV, underwater drones and state-of-the-art facilities have been put in place for visitors and devotees. The Central Reserve Police Force, Provincial Armed Constabulary and State Police are all collaborating for the safety of visitors during the Kumbh celebrations. Artist Pratibha Pandey created a unique painting of the Amrit Kalash, an important ritualistic symbol of the Mahakumbh, especially at the Triveni Sangam. The artwork utilizes a technique in which only text is employed, with Pandey engraving the word Ram repeatedly to form the Kalash. ISRO's SpaceX mission aimed at demonstrating autonomous docking of 2 satellites in space has been rescheduled to January the 9th. The decision follows the identification of an abort scenario during ground simulations, necessitating further safety validations. Once docked, the satellites will share power and will be controlled by a single system. An outbreak of human metapneumovirus HMPV in China has raised alarm globally. Several countries, including India, are monitoring the virus and its spread closely. India's Health Secretary Punya Salila Srivastav chaired a meeting with states and union territories in virtual mode on Monday to review the present situation of the respiratory illness in the country and the status of public health measures for their management. During the meeting, it was reiterated that the data from the Integrated Disease Surveillance Program does not indicate any unusual rise in influenza-like illness and severe acute respiratory infection cases anywhere in the country. This is also corroborated by the ICMR Sentinel surveillance data. Union Health Secretary emphasized that there is no cause of concern for the public from HMPV, which has been present globally since 2001. The Health Secretary advised states to strengthen and review the ILI-SARI surveillance. She also stated that the country is well prepared for any potential surge in respiratory illness cases. Louisiana health authorities reported the first human death in the United States linked to bird flu on Monday. They noted that the patient had underlying medical conditions and emphasized that the overall risk to the public remained low. The patient, who was over 65 years old, had been hospitalized since at least mid-December when the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention identified the case as the country's first severe human infection with the H5N1 virus.
It is cold and flu season, so we do have a lot of people that are sick right now with these respiratory viruses. And this one's a little different because this person was infected with a strain of influenza that was spread from wild birds to their domestic birds and then to themselves. And so in a way, the risk is pretty localized, although it does seem to be growing across the U.S. So I guess what that means for Louisiana is the risk to the general public is still low. This is the only case that's been identified in people. This is not a strain of influenza that can spread between people, luckily.
You're watching DD India News. Are still to come on the show. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella meets Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, discusses tech innovation and AI. In sports, AC Milan beat city rival Inter Milan to clinch the Italian Super Cup. And Real Madrid hammer fourth tier Deportivo Minera 5-0 to reach the last 16 of the Copa del Rey. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I am Tanvi Taneja. Chairman and CEO of Microsoft Satya Nadella met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Monday. Prime Minister Modi expressed his happiness to know about Microsoft's ambitious expansion and investment plans in India. Both have discussed various aspects of tech, innovation and AI in the meeting. Responding to the ex-post of Satya Nadella about the meeting, PM Modi said, and I quote, "It was indeed a delight to meet Satya Nadella. Glad to know about Microsoft's ambitious expansion and investment plans in India. It was also wonderful discussing various aspects of tech innovation and AI in our meeting. Unquote. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is in Bhubaneswar to participate in this year's Prasar Bharati Divas, which is being held in Odisha's capital for 3 days starting tomorrow. The minister visited the Sun Temple in Konark today. In a social media post, the minister said that the temple is a testimony to India's heritage and creativity, noting that Konark is a must visit for all Pravasi friends visiting Bhubaneswar over the coming days. Speaking to media, Minister Jaishankar said that the state of Odisha is all set to hold the event, which will be attended by the President and the Prime Minister.
तो अगले कुछ दिन तो आप जानते हैं कि प्रवासी भारतीय दिवस होगा, पहली बार उड़ीसा में होगा और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि उसके लिए जो भी हमारी ओर से प्रयास होनी चाहिए, जो तैयारी होनी चाहिए, हमारे माननीय मुख्यमंत्री और उड़ीसा के शासन ने बहुत अपनी ओर से बहुत कोशिश की है, बहुत ध्यान दिया है। आप जानते हैं कि इस अवसर पर राष्ट्रपति जी भी आएंगी, प्रधानमंत्री जी भी आएंगे, तो ये एक किस्म से उड़ीसा के लिए शोकेस करने का अवसर भी है कि दुनिया के मैप में उड़ीसा को पूरा कैसे केंद्रित करें।
Locals performed the traditional folk dance Ghumar at Bhubaneswar's Biju Patnaik International Airport to warmly welcome guests for the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas convention. The event, set to take place from January 8th to 10th in the city, carries the theme Diaspora's Contribution to a Viksit Bharat. The Pravasi Bharatiya Divas convention is celebrated once every 2 years to strengthen the engagement of the overseas Indian community with the Indian government and reconnect them with their cultural roots. India's Home Minister Amit Shah today launched the Bharat Pol portal in New Delhi, developed by Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI. Bharat Pol portal will significantly facilitate Indian law enforcement agencies, enabling real-time information sharing for faster access to international police assistance. The development of the platform was necessitated amid a growing footprint of transnational crimes, including cybercrime. The portal will streamline the processing of all requests for international assistance through Interpol, including the issuance of red notices and other color-coded Interpol notices.
भारत पोल हमारे देश के अंतर्राष्ट्रीय इन्वेस्टिगेशन को एक अलग युग में ले जाने वाली एक शुरुआत है। एक प्रकार से अब तक इंटरपोल के साथ काम करने के लिए एक ही एजेंसी नामित थी, सीबीआई, मगर भारत पोल की संरचना होने के साथ भारत की हर एजेंसी, हर राज्य की पुलिस अपने आप को बहुत सरलता के साथ इंटरपोल के साथ कनेक्ट कर पाएगी और सीधा गति अपने इन्वेस्टिगेशन को देने में उनको बहुत सहायता होगी।
Home Minister Amit Shah also presented police medals to 35 CBI officers who have been awarded the President's Police Medals for Distinguished Service and Union Home Minister's Medal for Excellence in Investigation. The Central Investigation Bureau of Nepal Police raided a call centre at Satdo Batu in Lalitpur on Tuesday and arrested 53 individuals, including 2 Indians, on charges of operating online gambling. The CIB stated that 53 individuals were arrested for running an online casino. An investigation is underway and further actions will be taken after seeking an extension of the detention period from the court. The CIB also confiscated 85 laptops and 82 mobile phones from the accused, revealing that they were involved in illegal activities, including online gambling. And time now for some sporting action. India's Sports Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia chaired the first meeting of the Mission Olympic Cell of the year 2025 in New Delhi on Tuesday. The meeting was attended by stakeholders from the sports industry, including badminton coach Pulela Gopichand, Gagan Narang and other sports dignitaries. The meeting took several important decisions, such as inclusion of Reliance Foundation, Sports Petroleum Board and Railway Sports Promotion Board under the wings of Mission Olympic Cell, with an aim to nurture young talent from grassroots level.
2028 के ओलंपिक्स की तैयारी हमने अभी से चालू कर दिया है। आज मिशन ओलंपिक सेल की प्रथम मीटिंग हुई। सभी देश के स्पोर्ट्स में जाने माने लोग इस कमेटी में प्रतिनिधित्व कर रहे हैं।
And now let's get you up to speed from the field of football. AC Milan came back from 2 goals down to beat city rival Inter Milan 3-2 to clinch the Italian Super Cup on Monday. United States star Christian Pulisic scored the goal to bring Milan level with their city rivals and then played the key pass to unlock Inter's defence on the winning goal by Tammy Abraham in the added time. Rafael Leao came off the bench and played a part in all 3 of the Milan's goals from Theo Hernandez, Christian Pulisic and Tammy Abraham. The win denied Inter what would have been an unprecedented 4th consecutive Super Cup trophy and allowed Milan to equal Inter's haul of 8 wins in the competition with new manager Sergei Conceição lifting a trophy in his 2nd game in charge. Real Madrid booked their place in the last 16 of the Copa del Rey with an emphatic 5-0 win over 4th-tier club Deportiva Minera on Monday. Federico Valverde, Eduardo Camavinga, Arda Güler struck in the first half of the dominant Spanish champions. Veteran Luka Modric netted the 4th before Güler tapped in his 2nd to round off the rout. Coach Carlo Ancelotti rested several key players ahead of the Spanish Super Cup starting in Saudi Arabia later this week, with Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. only appearing as second-half substitutes. The draw for the next round takes place on Wednesday, with the fixtures due to take place between January 14th to January 16th. And on to cricket now. South Africa eased to a 10-wicket victory against Pakistan in the 2nd test in Cape Town on Monday to secure a 2-0 series win. South Africa made light work of a modest target of 58 runs to claim victory inside 4 days of the 2nd and final test. Pakistan had held up the home side's victory charge with a 2nd innings score of 478 after they were asked to follow on. Their effort was led by captain Shan Masood, who scored 145. But South Africa chipped away the wickets. They have now won their last 7 tests in a row, their 2nd best ever run of victories behind a 9-game winning streak between 2002 to 2003. And the first Grand Slam of the year, Australian Open tennis, is just round the corner, and there are definitely many women players to watch out in this tournament. With Arna Sabalenka, who will be entering as hot favourite to Coco Gauff, the stage is all set for this Grand Slam. Here's more.
World number 1 Arena Sabalenka is going to be the hot favourite for another successful summer in Australia. The 26-year-old is bidding to become the first woman to lift 3 straight Australian Open trophies since Swiss Martina Hingis won from 1997 to 1999. Other leading women in the tournament will be 5-time Grand Slam champion Iga Swiatek, who has traditionally struggled to hit the ground running at the tournament, with her best result a semi-final in 2022. Right on her heels is American Coco Gauff, who defeated Swiatek at the United Cup and has now racked up consecutive victories over the pole. Italian Jasmine Paolini will be hoping to keep her momentum going from a breakthrough 2024. Meanwhile, last year's finalist, Zheng Qinwen, also enjoyed a successful campaign, claiming the Paris Olympics gold medal and WTA 2 titles in Tokyo and Palermo. There's a strong American contingent in the draw, led by world number 7 Jessica Pegula, world number 8 Emma Navarro, and world number 11 Danielle Collins. The Australian Open tournament will begin from January 12th. Sports Desk, DT India.
Updates from the Hockey India League now. Captain Harmanpreet Singh struck a brilliant brace as Surma Club fought back to beat Delhi SG Pipers 3-1 in the penalty shootout in the Hockey India League match on Monday. Harmanpreet's double penalty corner conversion levelled the scores 2-2 before the ever-reliable Vincent Vanash asserted his class to thwart 3 Pipers strikers in the shootout. Surma equalised in the closing minutes when Harmanpreet showed his brilliance, scoring from another angle to convert the team's 5th penalty corner. Vivek Sagar Prasad, Nicholas Keenan and Boris Bukhard scored in the penalty shootouts, while Vincent Vanash pulled out 3 saves to snatch the bonus point for Surma Hockey Club. And before we go, we leave you with the story from China's Harbin, where visitors gathered around a steaming hot pot in a frosty ice house in China's Harbin on Monday. The temperatures often plunged to minus 20 degrees Celsius in the region. They selected food ingredients from small containers to cook in flavorful broths, all while surrounded by golden statues of the 12 Chinese zodiac animals and replicas of chili peppers. So that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.